So I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video, but I wouldn't be happy with myself if I didn't express my thoughts on this concerning topic. If you are invested in any sort of EV company, especially EV SPACs, you want to watch this whole video through. So over the past year or so, there's been a massive EV boom. There's been EV stocks coming out of nowhere, companies we've never heard of before, that are commanding valuations in the billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars in some cases. Of course, you have the massive giants like Tesla and NIO out there that are just pretty much the dominant leaders when it comes to these type of stocks. However, there are countless other businesses that have just popped out of nowhere, gone through a SPAC merger, and now they're a public company and everyone's all hyped up about it, throwing their money at these stocks. Now let me get this straight. There's nothing wrong with SPACs in themselves. Like, the idea, the concept behind it is actually pretty good. It allows retail investors like us to get into businesses early on so that we're able to benefit long term. However, this has just resulted in just a massive speculative market. I've seen so many people just buy into a SPAC on the hope that it merges with a good company. Now, I've been guilty of this as well, and it didn't sit too well with me, so I haven't really done it since then. And for some people, this has been working out really well, especially in 2020. There's been a lot of money to be made from this strategy. But now I think in 2021, things have changed. I don't think it's going to be the same anymore. And I just want to say this, for every good SPAC business that comes out here that goes public on the markets, I think there's dozens more that are going to fail in a few years. Now, the most recent name that really brought all of this to my attention again is the whole issue with Lordstown Motors. So their ticker symbol is RIDE, R-I-D-E, and if you weren't aware, they have been in the spotlight recently, not for anything good. They've actually been exposed for some pretty serious stuff. So Hindenburg Research actually has come out and said that this business is essentially a fraud. They've been lying to investors, they've been faking their order numbers and all of that stuff, and this resulted in the CEO coming on media, coming on television, and actually kind of trying to defend himself. Here's what he had to say.
Let's be clear here. The way that you have characterized your pre-orders or reservations in the past, I mean, you called these on CNBC serious orders. Now, people would look at this and say, if you have a company that's not putting down a deposit, that doesn't have a fleet, but basically are collecting letters of interest, are those truly serious orders?
Well, no, Phil, we've always been very clear, right? These are just what they're intended to be, right? These are non-binding letter of intents. They're called pre-orders out in the kind of real world. So always classified them for that, and we have a lot of those pre-orders.
I understand that, Steve, but some people would look at this and say, look, you were far more aggressive in characterizing those pre-orders as true commitments, that you have company XYZ that has said, yeah, sign us up for 5,000 or 6,000. Do you regret the way you characterized those reservations?
Well, reservation, Phil, all I can, I don't want to get into the specifics. All I can tell you is demand is robust. We've never said we had orders. We don't have a product yet. By definition, we can't have orders, right? So when you're early and you're years away from a product, in this case 1 year, and now we're down to 6 months. So now that we have the betas, we are starting to be able to shore some of that up. But the pre-orders did exactly what they were supposed to do, gauge interest. Nobody knew if fleets would buy an electric pickup truck, right? It was completely unknown science, no data around it. So we queried them. We have very robust interest, and that's just what they are. They're letters of interest. You can't do any more of that in this stage. So I don't think anybody thought that we had actual orders, right? That's just not the nature of this business.
One of the more weaker arguments I've heard to, defend yourself for pretty much lying to investors. And if I was one holding this stock, if I was holding Lordstown Motors today, this would be a signal to run far away and sell. I know it's easy to say from my position because I don't hold the stock and, I would cut my losses. It's easier said than done. I understand that. However, think of it this way. Would you rather, sell now at whatever loss it is and just move on to a better stock and use that capital to recoup those losses in something better? Or would you rather just hold on and hope the story plays out in your favor when so far everything is going against you? Not only are short sellers now attacking this, but the CEO's defense was absolutely pathetic in my opinion. He blatantly lied to investors, guys, and hey, I don't like being lied to, and if I had any money in the stock, it would be gone by now. Now, Hindenburg's also exposed a few other EV stocks like Candy, which is a Chinese play, which again used fake sales to lure in investors. And of course, the most famous article with Nikola pushing down the truck from a hill. So when it comes to Hindenburg, comes to the research with EVs specifically, they have a good track record and they know how to expose these businesses that are lying. So now here's the thing, okay? This is why I really wanted to make this video. I think that investors, especially newer investors, are very easily fooled into this market. If you get in at the right time, you think things are just a piece of cake in here. You just throw your money into these speculative investments, you double your money, triple your investment, and then you peace out. It's a very simple strategy, and it works until it doesn't, and you lose a good chunk of your capital. The reality is, guys, that, as much as you think that these businesses want to make you rich with SPACs and, getting in early and, believing in their story before everyone else does, the reality is businesses, by definition, their mandate is to make money for themselves, including their CEOs and management team. Then as a result, if you're invested in that company, if it's a good business over time, as an investor, you will also benefit from holding shares in that company. But don't get fooled by this. Don't think that their motive is to make you money and make you rich. I know so many retail investors get sucked into this thinking, hey, the CEO said they're going to do this and, this is a great story and this business is going to do so well in the future, with nothing backing them up, no fundamentals, no financials, nothing, just a story and a CEO touting this story to everyone. And unfortunately, I've seen so much capital lost in the last year, even though all you hear on YouTube and in the media is how much money people are making from these speculative bets. So please don't be silly with your money, especially here when it comes to EV plays. I believe the high, speculative bubble for EVs is pretty much done. I don't think we're going to get to valuations we saw last year with some of these unknown names. However, there's still a good amount of money in these stocks that I think will start leaving over this year. And we may see that money trickle into more better bets in this space like Tesla, NIO, those type of companies which actually have a proven track record. And that'll of course result in some of these other names just dropping even further in value. Okay, so now quickly jumping over to the charts here for a couple of minutes to point some things out. I've spoken in the past about a few stocks like Nikola here, for example. I was kind of saying the stock doesn't look all that great. The story may be good, but they had nothing really to back things up, nothing really to prove themselves with. But hey, investors, just ignore that. They were buying on the hype. This thing ran up massively. A lot of people did make a lot of money, but a lot of retail investors, unfortunately, were caught up here, above $50 per share, let's say. And they've been bag holding ever since. And do I ever think Nikola is going to recover? I'm not so sure, guys. Honestly, I don't even know if this company is going to be around for many more years. By the way things are actually going with the business and how poorly they're executing and how much negative sentiment and negative press there is around this business, which is warranted. Yeah, not a big fan of this, but this is one that I warned you guys about. The other one we talked about last year that I warned you guys about was Workhorse. There was way too much speculation on this on one catalyst. Everyone was betting on one catalyst, the USPS contract. They're going to win it, Nick. It doesn't matter what you say, they're going to win it. And I was like, well, what if they don't? There are other competitors. What if they don't? What's your backup plan? A lot of people ignored that. And well, we got the news finally that they did not win this contract. The stock plummeted. And it's another one that I don't know will ever get back up to its highs here. I don't know if it can ever find any other reason really with the business to justify valuations like they were, a few weeks, a couple of months ago. So unfortunately, again, a lot of bag holders here. And I don't know, I think that this one may be getting ready to roll over even further and possibly coming back down to under $10 per share at some point. I'm not going to make a prediction on that in the sense that I'm not going to actually short this stock, but that's definitely a risk, and I think something that could play out because when I looked at their fundamentals last, things did not look great. The other one I've really warned you guys about last year, which kicked things off really with this whole EV spec market really, is Hyliion. Hyliion was one that I personally bought into, made a little bit of money on this. I sold it on the initial bounce, it sold off, and then this thing ran up to over $50 per share, close to $60 per share again, sucked in a lot of retail investors and then just crashed down. Now we're back to prices that I pretty much bought at a year ago. Actually a bit lower than that now. And I don't know if the story here can actually justify this ever getting back up to those prices. There was just so much hype with these businesses that investors were willing to pay whatever valuation it was. And unfortunately, so many people got burnt on this, guys. So Hyliion, they're a bit better than some of the other ones I've looked at. But again, I don't know if this one will actually be around over the long term, because this is a highly competitive, highly capital intensive market where there's just so much losses, so much failure. Even massive businesses like NIO and Tesla were on the brink of bankruptcy at points, but they managed to get past that. And who knows, maybe Hyliion does as well, but I don't know if I want to put my money to bet on that. So that's kind of 3 stocks that I've discussed over the last year, kind of in this EV space, some of them being SPACs that I was kind of, be careful about this, guys. We even talked about stocks like Fisker, right? Fisker, this one recently finished its merger, and yeah, it's doing okay right now, but is this gonna just take a nosedive and get back down to prices, you know, $15, $10 per share? Possibly. I'd just be cautious on this. Maybe it reverses, goes higher for a little bit longer, but again, this is another business that I'm not too excited about. It has some sort of brand name behind it, but there's a lot of speculation running this ship. Now guys, I came across this pretty interesting website here that has a few of these stocks listed out. I sorted it by SPAC, and there's a few of them on here that I want to just quickly touch on because I know some of you guys are invested in them and I would be very careful. ChargePoint is one that I think will actually make it through all of this because they're not really a EV business in the sense they're not building cars. They're actually kind of providing charging stations, which are pretty decent. I've used them myself for my Tesla. So I think this one will actually be fine over the long term. But companies like Lordstown, Fisker, Nikola, QuantumScape, this one pre-revenue business, another one that be careful with it, guys, be careful. Hyliion, XL Fleet, and then we have a few others if we scroll down here as well. Faraday Future, Lion Electric, Blink, this one possibly could also make it through. Then they have some Chinese names, you know, Xpeng, Li Auto. These are not SPACs, but these are still businesses that, I don't know, they still have a lot of proving to do to actually, you know, entice me to put my money into them. So there's a huge list here that, you know, you can check out this website. It's called EV Adoption, not sponsored or anything by them, but it's a pretty useful list that they have here. And if you're looking for any EV ideas, you could kind of go through this, but just be careful, guys. So guys, the purpose of this video really is to just let you know that while things were great last year, it may not be the same this year. That's just how things go in the stock market. Some of these companies will succeed and go through and become massive businesses and make you rich, but a lot of them will fail and result in massive capital loss. So if you are betting your hard-earned money on any of these companies, you need to make sure you understand the business inside out. You need to make sure you understand the financials, the fundamentals, you know, their motive, read their filings, just know everything about the company, because if you are betting on speculation, there is a high risk that you will lose that capital, and you have to be comfortable with that. Anyways, guys, I hope this helps at least one of you out there. That'll make this whole video worth it. And if you appreciate my honesty in here, a like goes a long way. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.